After Apple Picking by Robert Frost, read for LibriVox.org by Ronald Gardella. My long two-pointed ladder sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it, and there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough, but I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter sleep is on the night, the scent of apples. I am drowsing off. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight. I got from looking through a pane of glass. I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough and held against a world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break, but I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. For I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down, and not let fall, for all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap as of no worth. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep, as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Afternoon on a Hill by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. I will be the gladdest thing under the sun. I will touch 100 flowers and not pick one. I will look at cliffs and clouds with quiet eyes, watch the wind bow down the grass and the grass rise. And when lights begin to show up from the town, I will mark which must be mine and then start down. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
The Angels by William Drummond. Read for LibriVox.org by Ike Sherr. From the Flowers of Sion. Run, shepherds, run where Bethlehem blessed appears. We bring the best of news, be not dismayed. A Saviour there is born more old than years, amidst heaven's rolling heights this earth who stayed. In a poor cottage inned a virgin maid, a weakling did him bear, who all upbears. There is he poorly swaddled, in manger laid, to whom 2 narrow swaddlings are our spheres. Run, shepherds, run and solemnize his birth. This is that night, no, day grown great with bliss, in which the power of Satan broken is. In heaven be glory, peace unto the earth. Thus singing through the air the angels swarm and cope, of stars re-echoed the same. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Beginning by Rupert Brooke. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Some day I shall rise and leave my friends, and seek you again through the world's far ends. You whom I found so fair, touch of your hands and smell of your hair, my only God in the days that were. My eager feet shall find you again, though the sullen years and the mark of pain have changed you wholly, for I shall know. How could I forget having loved you so, in the sad half-light of evening, the face that was all my sun-rising? So then at the ends of the earth I'll stand, and hold you fiercely by either hand, and seeing your age and ashen hair, I'll curse the thing that once you were, because it is changed and pale and old, lips that were scarlet, hair that was gold, and I loved you before you were old and wise, when the flame of youth was strong in your eyes, and my heart is sick with memories. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Disappointed, Pindaric Ode, by Thomas Flatman. Read for LibriVox.org by a public domain scholar. The Disappointed, Pindaric Ode. Oft have I pondered in my pensive heart, when even from myself I've stolen away, and heavily considered many a day, the cause of all my anguish and my smart. Sometimes beside a shady grove, as dark as were my thoughts, as close as was my love, dejected have I walked alone, acquainting scarce myself with my own moan. Once I resolved, undauntedly to hear what 'twas my passions had to say, to find the reason of that uproar there, and calmly, if I could, to end the fray. No sooner was my resolution known, but I was all confusion, fierce anger, flattering hope, and black despair, bloody revenge, and most ignoble fear. Now altogether clamorous were, my breast a perfect chaos grown, a mass of nameless things, together hurled, like the formless embryo of the unborn world, just as it's rousing from eternal night, before the great Creator said, "Let there be light." Thrice happy then are beasts, said I, that underneath these pleasant coverts lie. They only sleep and eat and drink, they never meditate nor think, or if they do, have not the unhappy art to vent the overflowings of their heart. They without trouble live, without disorder die, regardless of eternity. I said, I would like them be wise, and not perplex myself in vain, nor bite the uneasy chain. No, no, said I will philosophize, and all the ill-natured world despise. But when I have reflected long, and with deliberation thought, how few have practiced what they gravely taught, though 'tis but folly to complain, I judged it worth a generous disdain, and brave defiance in Pindaric song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The End by Wilfred Owen. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothmann. After the blast of lightning from the east, the flourish of loud clouds, the chariot throne, after the drums of time have rolled and ceased, and from the bronze west long retreat is blown, shall life renew these bodies? Of a truth, all death will he annul, all tears assuage, or fill these void veins full again with youth, and wash with an immortal water age? When I do ask white age, he saith not so. My head hangs weighted with snow. Then I hearken to the earth. She saith, my fiery heart sinks aching. It is death. My ancient scars shall not be glorified, nor my titanic tears the seas be dried. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Endymion by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by Sherr. The rising moon has hid the stars. Her level rays like golden bars lie on the landscape green, with shadows brown between. And silver white the river gleams, as if Diana in her dreams had dropped her silver bow upon the meadows low. On such a tranquil night as this, she woke Endymion with a kiss when, sleeping in the grove, he dreamed not of her love. Like Dian's kiss, unasked, unsought, love gives itself, but is not bought. Nor voice nor sound betrays its deep, impassioned gaze. It comes, the beautiful, the free, the crown of all humanity in silence, and alone to seek the elected one. It lifts the boughs whose shadows deep are life's oblivion, the soul's sleep, and kisses the closed eyes of him who slumbering lies. O weary hearts! O slumbering eyes! O drooping souls, whose destinies are fraught with fear and pain! Ye shall be loved again. No one is so accursed by fate, no one so utterly desolate, but some heart, though unknown, responds unto his own. Responds as if with unseen wings an angel touched its quivering strings, and whispers in its song, "Where hast thou stayed so long?" End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ennui by Tom Kettle. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. I saw the loath moon rise, the sun go sweatily down. There was famine of sleep in his eyes. She was a floating frown. They nodded heavily over an ancient roof, with a pout of the shoulder he with a grind of the hoof. And the moon said to the sun, "Another day to irk us." The sun to the tousled moon, "Imagine it a circus." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Eye by Khalil Gibran. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. Said the Eye one day, "I see beyond these valleys a mountain veiled with blue mist. Is it not beautiful?" The ear listened, and after listening intently a while said, "But where is any mountain? I do not hear it." Then the hand spoke and said, "I am trying in vain to feel it or touch it, and I can find no mountain." And the nose said, "There is no mountain. I cannot smell it." Then the eye turned the other way, and they all began to talk together about the eye's strange delusion. And they said, "Something must be the matter with the eye." End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
A Farewell to Arms by George Peele. Read for LibriVox.org by Sherr. To Queen Elizabeth. His golden locks time hath to silver turned. O time too swift, O swiftness never ceasing! His youth gainst time and age hath ever spurned, but spurned in vain. Youth waneth by increasing. Beauty, strength, youth are flowers but fading seen. Duty, faith, love are roots, and ever green. His helmet now shall make a hive for bees, and lovers' sonnets turn to holy psalms. A man-at-arms must now serve on his knees and feed on prayers, which are age his alms. But though from court to cottage he depart, his saint is sure of his unspotted heart. And when he saddest sits in homely cell, he'll teach his swains this carol for a song. Blessed be the hearts that wish my sovereign well. Cursed be the souls that think her any wrong. Goddess, allow this aged man his right to be your beadsman, now that was your night. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Ghost Girl by William James Price. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothmann. We parted at the door. No angry word was said. One found you stark upon the floor, and told me you were dead. Yet never moon shall rise, nor sun at evening set, but I shall feel your flaming eyes, whose fire I would forget. And then the shadows creep along those ghostly walls. A phantom wakes me out of sleep with eerie voice that calls. Alas, am I to blame, because you love too well? Why should you nightly call my name, your sorry tale to tell? To that mysterious bourne where happy souls abide, return again, that I who mourn may know that you have died. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love in May by Jean Passera. Translated by Andrew Lang. Read for LibriVox.org by vahnikah. Off with sleep, love, up from bed. This fair morn, see for our eyes the rosy red. New dawn is born. Now the skies are glad and gay in the gracious month of May. Love me sweet, fill my joy in brimming measure. In this world he hath no pleasure, that will none of it. Come, love, through the woods of spring, come walk with me, listen the sweet birds jargoning. From tree to tree, list and listen, over all nightingale most musical that ceases never. Grief begone, and let us be for a space as glad as he. Time's flitting ever, old time that love not lovers wear. Wings swift in flight, all our happy life he bears. Far in the night, old and wrinkled on a day, sad and weary shall you say, ah, fool was I, that took no pleasure in the grace of the flower that from my face time has seen die. Leave then sorrow, teen and tears, till we be old. Young we are, and of our years, till youth be cold. Pluck the flower, while spring is gay, in this happy month of May. Love me, love, fill our joy in brimming measure. In this world he hath no pleasure, that will none thereof. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Metaphysics by Oliver Herford. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothmann. Why and wherefore set out one day to hunt for the wild negation? They agreed to meet at a cool retreat on the point of interrogation. But the night was dark, and they missed their mark, and driven well nigh to distraction, they lost their ways in the murky maze of utter abstruse abstraction. Then they took a boat and were soon afloat on a sea of speculation. But the sea grew rough, and their boat, though tough, was split into an equation. As they floundered about in the waves of doubt, rose a fearful hypothesis, who gibbered with glee as they sank in the sea. And the last they saw was this: On a rock-bound reef of unbelief there sat the wild negation. Then they sank once more, and were washed ashore at the point of interrogation. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Mice by Gerald Bullitt. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. I see the broken bodies of women and men, temples of God ruined. I see the claws of sinister fate, from the reach of whose feline paws never are safe the bodies of women and men. Almighty cat, it sits on the throne of the world, with paw outstretched, grinning at us, the mice, who play our trivial games of virtue and vice, and pray to that which sits on the throne of the world. From our beginning till all is over and done, unwitting who watches, pursuing our personal ends, hither and thither we scamper, the paw descends. The paw descends, and all is over and done. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Mountains by Darcy McNichol. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. There is snow now, a thing of silent creeping, and day is strange half-night, and the mountains have gone, softly murmuring something. And I remember pale days, pale as the half-night, and as strange and sad. I remember times in this room when but to glance through an opened window was to be filled with an ageless crying wonder. The grand slope of the meadows, the green rising of the hills, and then far away slumbering mountains, dark, fearful, old, older than old, rusted, crumbling rock, those mountains. But sometimes came a strange thing, and theirs was the youth of a cloudlet flying, sunwise flashing. And such is the wisdom of mountains, knowing it nothing to be old, and nothing to be young. There is snow now, a silent creeping, and I have walked into the mountains, into canyons that gave back my laughter and the lover girl's laughter, and at dark, when our skin twinged to the night wind, built us a great marvelous fire, and sat in quiet, carefully sipping its scorching coffee. But when a coyote gave to the night a wail of all the bleeding sorrow, all the dismal, gray-eyed pain that these slumbering mountains had ever known, crept close to each other and close to the fire, listening, then hastily doused the fire and fled, giving many excuses, with tightly clasping hands. Snow, 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 a thing of silent creeping. And once, on a night of screaming chill, I went to climb a mountain's cold, cold body, with a boy whose eyes had the ancient look of the mountains, and whose heart the swinging dance of a laughter child. Our thighs ached, and lungs were fired with frost and heaving breath. The long, long slope, a mad wind and raging. Then the top. There should have been something, but there was silence only, quiet after the wind's frenzy, quiet after all frenzy, and more mountains endlessly into the night. And such is the wisdom of mountains, knowing how great is silence, how nothing is greater than silence. And so they are gone now, and they murmured something as they went, something in the strange half-night. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Only by Anonymous. Read for LibriVox.org by mleigh. It was only a blossom, just the merest bit of bloom, but it brought a glimpse of summer to the little darkened room. It was only a glad good morning as she passed along the way, but it spread the morning's glory over the livelong day. Only a song, but the music, though simply pure and sweet, brought back to better pathways the reckless roving feet. Only in our blind wisdom, how dare we say it all, since the ages alone can tell us which is the great or small. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Only a Fragrant Spray from Han Dynasty. Read for LibriVox.org by Roger Smith. Ah me, the day you left me was full of weary hours, but the tree 'neath which we parted was rich with leaves and flowers. And from its fragrant branches I plucked a tiny spray and hid it in my bosom in memory of that day. I know the endless distance must shut you from my view, but the flower's gentle fragrance brings sweet thoughts of you. And though it's but a trifle, which none would prize for gain, it oft renews our parting with all the love and pain. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
Redeemed by David Corey. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Within the church the altar there to me seems but a gilded chair. The pomp, the images, the roll of Latin words touch not my soul. The incense veiling Christ's pale face seems lacking apostolic grace. A pariah in the place I stand, save for the clasp of her dear hand. The altar of my daily prayer is her pure breast, her fragrant hair, the incense of a prayer divine, her clinging arms my ivory shrine. Through her dear love I deem it much the garment of my Lord to touch. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Ronald Gardella. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Smoky Fancies by David Corey. Read for LibriVox.org by kwudf. What do I see in my cigarette smoke as it floats from my lips in the air? A wind-drifted cloud in the summer sky, or the foam of the waves in the Mur? What do I see in the vapory cloud that circles around my head? A hangman's noose, or a kingly crown, or a winding shroud for the dead? You ask what I see in my cigarette smoke that waves into clouds from my lips. The hand of topography opposite me that rakes in the lust of my chips. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet for Byron by John Keats. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Byron, how sweetly sad thy melody, attuning still the soul to tenderness, as if soft pity with unusual stress had touched her plaintive lute, and thou being by, hadst caught the tones, nor suffered them to die. O'ershadowing sorrow dost not make thee less delightful, thou thy griefs dost dress with a bright halo, shining beamily, as when a cloud the golden moon doth veil, its sides are tinged with a resplendent glow, through the dark robe oft amber rays prevail, and like fair veins in sable marble flow. Still warble, dying swan, still tell the tale, the enchanting tale, the tale of pleasing woe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Sonnet for Chatterton by John Keats. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. O Chatterton, how very sad thy fate, dear child of sorrow, son of misery! How soon the film of death obscured that eye, whence genius mildly flashed, and high debate! How soon that voice, majestic and elate, melted in dying numbers! Oh, how nigh was night to thy fair morning! Thou didst die, a half-blown floweret which cold blasts amate. But this is past. Thou art among the stars of highest heaven. To thy rolling spheres thou sweetest singest. Naught thy hymning mars above the ingrate world and human fears. On earth the good man base detraction bars from thy fair name, and waters it with tears. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Sonnet for Spenser by John Keats. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Spenser, a jealous honourer of thine, a forester deep in thy midmost trees, did last eve ask my promise to refine some English that might strive thine ear to please. But, elfin poet, 'tis impossible for an inhabitant of wintry earth to rise like Phoebus with a golden quill, fire-winged, and make a morning in his mirth. It is impossible to 'scape from toil o' the sudden and receive thy spiriting. The flower must drink the nature of the soil before it can put forth its blossoming. Be with me in the summer days, and I will for thine honour and his pleasure try. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Still in the meadow by the brook I lay, by Philip Henry Savage. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Still in the meadow by the brook I lay, and felt the April creep along my streams, subdue my currents to herself, and play at hide-and-seek with winter in my dreams. Rich in the summer day, the time is rife, with all an eager fancy will contrive. But April welcomes each new shock of life, the sluggard winter from the heart to drive. Thus did I tremble at the passing bird, leaped in the sun, and with the breezes ran, my heart a brook, and all my life a word, to tell how near to nature is a man. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sun is Lord of Life and Color by Iris Tree. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston, Tharp. The sun is Lord of life and color, blood of the rose and hyacinth, hair of the sea and forests, crown of the cornfields, body of the hills. The moon is the harlot of death, slaughterer of the sun, priestess and poisoner. She goes with all her silver flock of wandering souls, her chant of wailing waters, the bed of simmering dust from which she comes bound all around with bandages of mist. The living are as blossoms and fruit on the tree, the dead are as lilies and wind on the marshes. The living are as cherries that bow to the morning, beckoning to the loitering stranger, the wind, to sing them his eerie ballads. The dead are as frozen skeleton branches, whereon the stillness perches like an owl. The dead are as snows on the cherry orchard. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Thanksgiving by Jamie Harris Coleman. Read for LibriVox.org by Norah Nelson. Thanksgiving should be every day, instead of once a year. Give thanks each day, give thanks each night, to Christ who is so dear. Give thanks each day, give thanks each night, for all the Lord has done. He'll help us fight our battles, until the victory's won. Give thanks unto the Savior, his joyous praises sing. In the ears of every Christian, let the name of Jesus ring. Give thanks to him each morning, give thanks at noon and night. Ask him for daily blessings, and stand up for the right. Let each day be thanksgiving, for the blessings from above, for guidance and protection, and his eternal love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Thief on the Cross by John Todhunter. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Ah, dear Lord Jesu, as we hang I on my cross, and Thou on Thine, Thou through one glad redeeming pang enterest heaven's gate. But what of mine? Are my sins purged? It may be so, but do we know? Ah, do we know? Thou sufferest for the sins of men, I for mine own. Yet sins as black rest unavenged. Have mercy then on me, whom equal torments rack, yet no redemption bring for me, nor for the world bring I like Thee. Once I was innocent as Thou, and looking back upon the way I trod, I cannot tell Thee how I came to where I hang today. My birthright was a blighting curse, bad I began and came to worse. Yet looking now upon Thy face, dim longings, hopes come back to me, remorseful thoughts, moments of grace, wherein I strove my soul to free from the strong fetters linked by fate. Christ, I have seen Thy face too late. Ah, what strange pang disfeatures Thee! What means this cry? My God, wherefore hast thou forsaken me? Art thou too from God's grace outlawed? Then it is finished. In that last sigh proclaimest thou failure or victory? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Two Roses by David Corey. Read for LibriVox.org by KWDF. I stand in her garden of flowers, and pluck a white rose, brush a thorn from the stem, and I think of our meetings, the swift, happy hours. I think of them over and over again. I stand in the churchyard, the garden of death, and I kneel by her grave, where the tall grasses part, and I lay a white rose, with its pure, fragrant breath, just over her heart, where the first rose had lain. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Up at a Villa, Down in the City by Robert Browning. Read for LibriVox.org by Algy. Up at a villa down in the city, as distinguished by an Italian person of quality. Had I but plenty of money, money enough and to spare, the house for me, no doubt, were a house in the city square. Ah, such a life as one leads at the window there! Something to see, by Bacchus, something to hear at least. There, the whole day long, one's life is a perfect feast, while up at a villa one lives, I maintain it, no more than a beast. Well now, look at our villa, stuck like the horn of a bull, just on a mountain edge as bare as the creature's skull, save for a mere shag of a bush with scarcely a leaf to pull. I scratch my own, sometimes, to see if the hair's turned wool. But the city, oh, the city, the square with the houses! Why? They are stone-faced, white as a curd, there's something to take the eye. Houses in 4 straight lines, not a single front awry. You watch who crosses and gossips, who saunters, who hurries by. Green blinds, as a matter of course, to draw when the sun gets high, and the shops with fanciful signs which are painted properly. What of a villa? Though winter will be over in March, by rights, 'tis May, perhaps ere the snow will have withered well off the heights. You've the brown ploughed land before, where the oxen steam and wheeze, the hills oversmoked behind by the faint grey olive trees. Is it better in May, I ask you? You've summer all at once. In a day he leaps complete, with a few strong April suns, mid the sharp short emerald wheat, scarce risen 3 fingers well. The wild tulip, at the end of its tube, blows out its great red bell like a thin clear bubble of blood, for the children to pick and sell. Is it ever hot in the square? There's a fountain to spout and splash. In the shade it sings and springs. In the shine such foam boughs flash on the horses with curling fish tails, that prance and paddle and pash round the lady atop in her conch. 50 gazers do not abash, though all that she wears is some weeds round her waist in a sort of sash. All day long at the villa, nothing to see, though you linger, except yon cypress that points like death's lean lifted forefinger. Some think fireflies pretty, when they mix in the corn and mingle, or thrid the stinking hemp till the stalks of it seem a tingle. Late August, or early September, the stunning cicala is shrill, and the bees keep their tiresome whine round the resinous firs on the hill. Enough of the seasons, I spare you the months of the fever and chill. Ere you open your eyes in the city, the blessed church bells begin. No sooner the bells leave off than the diligence rattles in. You get the pick of the news, and it costs you never a pin. By and by there's a travelling doctor, gives pills, lets blood, draws teeth, or the Pulcinello trumpet breaks up the market beneath. At the post office such a scene picture, the new play, piping hot, and a notice how, only this morning, 3 liberal thieves were shot. Above it, behold the Archbishop's most fatherly of rebukes, and beneath, with his crown and his lion, some new little law of the Duke's, or a sonnet with flowery marge to the Reverend Don So-and-so, who was Dante, Boccaccio, Petrarca, St. Jerome and Cicero, and, moreover, the sonnet goes rhyming, the skirts of St. Paul has reached, having preached us those 6 Lent lectures more unctuous than ever he preached. Noon strikes. Here sweeps the procession, Our Lady born smiling and smart, with a pink gauze gown all spangles, and 7 swords stuck in her heart. Bang, wang, wang goes the drum, tootle to tootle the fife. No keeping one's haunches still, it's the greatest pleasure in life. But, bless you, it's dear, it's dear. Fowls, wine, at double the rate. They have clapped a new tax upon salt, and what oil pays passing the gate, it's a horror to think of. And so, the villa for me, not the city. Beggars can scarcely be choosers, but still, ah, the pity, the pity! Look, 2 and 2 go the priests, then the monks with cowls and sandals, and the penitents dressed in white shirts are holding the yellow candles. One, he carries a flag up straight, and another a cross with handles, and the Duke's guard brings up the rear for the better prevention of scandals. Bang, wang, wang goes the drum, tootle to tootle the fife. Oh, a day in the city square, there is no such pleasure in life. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Voice by Rupert Brooke. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Safe in the magic of my woods, I lay and watched the dying light, faint in the pale high solitudes, and washed with rain and veiled by night. Silver and blue and green were showing, and the dark woods grew darker still, and birds were hushed, and peace was growing, and quietness crept up the hill, and no wind was blowing, and I knew that this was the hour of knowing, and the night and the woods and you were one together, and I should find soon in the silence the hidden key of all that had hurt and puzzled me. Why, you were you, and the night was kind, and the woods were part of the heart of me, and there I waited breathlessly. Alone and slowly the holy 3, the 3 that I loved, together grew, one in the hour of knowing, night and the woods and you. And suddenly there was an uproar in my woods, the noise of a fool in mock distress, crashing and laughing and blindly going, of ignorant feet and a swishing dress, and a voice profaning the solitudes. The spell was broken, the key denied me, and at length your flat clear voice beside me mouthed cheerful clear flat platitudes. You came and quacked beside me in the wood. You said, the view from here is very good. You said, it's nice to be alone a bit, and how the days are drawing out. You said, the sunset's pretty, isn't it? By God, I wish that you were dead.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Voice of God by Frank Sweet. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Far back in Eden's lovely bowers, where Eve and Adam trod among earth's fairest trees and flowers, they heard the voice of God. No more from out the Sinai cloud that ancient Israel saw, amid its thunders long and loud, does God reveal his law. We need not see the burning bush that greeted Moses' eye, nor hear the mighty whirlwind rush to know that God is nigh. His voice was heard in Bethlehem, and youthful David came to wear a royal diadem and win immortal fame. Not often with the sign of fire the call of God is given, but evermore he doth inspire the soul with thoughts of heaven. And ever will the still small voice ring from the heights above, and bid us evermore rejoice in the rich gifts of love. For by his Spirit now and here he gives a pledge of good, as sure as when the Hebrew seer on Horeb's mountain stood. And in our very hearts he writes his laws with burning pen, and with the star of hope he lights his children now as then. He ever sends the words of power that thrill from tongues of fire, and true souls in life's darkest hour may hear an angel choir. For evermore the trusting child can hear the voice of God, that calls in accents sweet and mild to grander heights untrod. It was his voice that Luther heard in error's darkest night, which at creation spake the word that filled the world with light. His voice did holy martyrs hear in rugged Alpine home, that banished every lingering fear of all the powers at Rome. And ever will the voice of him who calmed Lake Galilee ring from the spheres of seraphim, and say, "Come unto me." Though you may never hear the wings of angels passing by, or see a messenger that brings gifts from the world on high, yet shall the truth with holy light flash through each earnest soul, revealing to the spirit's sight its work and destined goal. A still small voice doth ever call in ways that Christ hath trod, and we should heed it, one and all. It is the voice of God. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Warm, Moist Kiss of April on the Grass by Philip Henry Savage. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. The warm, moist kiss of April on the grass, the stooping sun, the wet and fragrant plain, the voice of life, low whispered as I pass, the vision of the summer through the rain, 1,000 thoughts borne outward from the mind, laughing at nature, caught and held again close to the stirring heart, till like the grain in autumn they are scattered by the wind. And some may range along the open sky, and some may fall and live, and some may die. I care not now whether the wanton air rid me of flying chaff, or sift the seed of future promise, or if this, indeed, my present fancy lead me anywhere. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Wayfarers by Rupert Brooke. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Is it the hour? We leave this resting place made fair by one another for a while. Now for a Godspeed, one last mad embrace. The long road then, unlit by your faint smile. Ah, the long road, and you so far away. Oh, I'll remember, but each crawling day will pale a little your scarlet lips. Each mile dull the dear pain of your remembered face. Do you think there's a far border town somewhere, the desert's edge, last of the lands we know? Some gaunt eventual limit of our light, in which I'll find you waiting, and we'll go together, hand in hand again, out there, into the waste we know not, into the night.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be, by John Keats. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston, Tharp. When I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high-piled books and charactery hold like rich garners the full ripened grain, when I behold upon the night's starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with a magic hand of chance, and when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think till love and fame to nothingness do sink. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Where Man Has Conquered, Nature Dies, by Philip Henry Savage. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Where man has conquered, nature dies. We shift some slender growing pine from out her own familiar skies, where under forests fall and rise, to pots and gardens, then repine that where man conquers, nature dies. The atmosphere that round her lies bears not the light that used to shine from out her own familiar skies. She is a stranger. So our eyes run o'er the world and seek a sign. If where man conquers, nature dies, what is our earthly paradise? Will nature there withhold the wine that from her own familiar skies she used to pour? Do we devise a garden earth and say, in fine, where man has conquered nature dies from out her own familiar skies? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Wish by David Corey. Read for LibriVox.org by kwudf. Roses come and roses go, but I know where twin roses always blow in Carrie's cheeks. Summer comes and summer dies, but summer skies always smile in Carrie's eyes. Would those roses bloomed for me, and my skies above might be Carrie's eyes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Woodpile by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Ronald Gardella. Out walking in the frozen swamp one gray day, I paused and said, I will turn back from here. No, I will go on farther, and we shall see. The hard snow held me, save where now and then one foot went through. The view was all in lines straight up and down of tall slim trees, too much alike to mark or name a place by, so as to say for certain I was here or somewhere else. I was just far from home. A small bird flew before me. He was careful to put a tree between us when he lighted, and say no word to tell me who was so foolish as to think what he thought. He thought that I was after him for a feather, the white one in his tail, like one who takes everything said as personal to himself. One flight out sideways would have undeceived him, and then there was a pile of wood for which I forgot him, and let his little fear carry him off the way I might have gone. Without so much as wishing him good night, he went behind it to make his last stand. It was a cord of maple, cut and split, and piled and measured, 4 by 4 by 8, and not another like it could I see. No runner tracks in this year's snow looped near it, and it was older sure than this year's cutting, or even last year's or the year's before. The wood was gray, and the bark warping off it, and the pile somewhat sunken. Clematis had wound strings round and round it like a bundle. What held it, though, on one side was a tree still growing, and on one a stake and prop, these latter about to fall. I thought that only someone who lived in turning to fresh tasks could so forget his handiwork on which he spent himself, the labor of his axe, and leave it there far from a useful fireplace, to warm the frozen swamp as best it could with the slow, smokeless burning of decay. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.